Meta's AI infrastructure is bringing jobs to local communities like Los Lunas, New Mexico. Phil, who grew up in Los Lunas, has seen the positive impact that Meta's ongoing $600 billion investment in American jobs and infrastructure will bring.
I had to travel for work, missing moments I can't get back. Then Meta opened a data center and brought new jobs. Now, I don't worry about missing out anymore.
Learn more about Meta's investment at meta.com/building America.
Instagram teen accounts default teens into automatic protections for who can contact them and the content they can see. Explore teen accounts and all of our ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Hello and welcome to the final full week of November. Already? This is Phillies Therapy. I am Paul Boyer. I am one of your hosts. And this is the part of the offseason where you can start to see the gears turning. You can start to see pieces of the puzzle move into place, where bigger moves than just non-tenders, which we'll talk about that in a moment, start to happen, start to trickle out ahead of the winter meetings held this year in Orlando, Florida. I am, of course, talking about the first really significant move trade-wise of this offseason, and that is a one-for-one veteran swap, which you don't see too often, involving the Mets and the Rangers trading Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien. Just straight up. It's an interesting move for both sides, but we're not here to talk about that. Not really. Maybe as it relates to the Phillies a little bit. Really, what we want to do here at this point in the offseason is take a step back and talk a little bit about a unit that has, at least for our part, not really received a ton of attention looking at this offseason. We know that the Phillies need a little bit of help with bullpen depth. We know that the Phillies are on the help for outfield offense, specifically right-handed batting. What we haven't really talked about, and what merits a little bit of this discussion, what about the rotation? This was the strength of the team in 2025. This was the thing that carried this team for the vast majority of this season. But this is the unit that, despite returning a lot of talent, only one significant free agent in Ranger Suarez, enters 2026 with some questions. And we're going to riff a little bit on that. We're going to have a little rap session. We're going to have a little chat about what we think the Phillies do or possibly do not need to do about their rotation. And to help me with that, as always, is my co-host. He is the Phillies beat writer for The Athletic. He is getting ready to head down to sunny Florida in a little bit and leave us all here shivering in the cold. He is Matt Gelb. Matt, good morning. How are you? How was your weekend?
Florida? I mean, that's like months away. What are you talking about? I'm not even thinking about that yet. My weekend was great. I took the kids a Sixers game. It was Kids Day, and they lost. And then my son, late at night, called me into his room and said that he was sad that the Sixers lost. And I was wow, what have I created here? And I guess that's like the first step of, really, truly, enjoying sports. So I was very, very proud of him for saying that, but also a little concerned. I'm doing well. Do you know there's only been one? We're 2 weeks into the off season, right? More than that? 3 weeks?
Yeah, about 3 weeks.
There's only been one multi-year contract signed by a player with a new team. Do you know who it was? I'm not counting Josh Naylor. He re-signed.
Right.
One multi-year contract with a free agent who signed with a new team.
No, I'm blanking. Help me out.
Phil Maton.
Oh, I totally missed that period. Where did he go?
He signed with the Cubs for a 2-year deal. There is no financial details yet. But yes, apparently over the weekend, he signed a 2-year contract with the Chicago Cubs, making him the only free agent so far that has signed a multi-year deal with a new team. Just to give everybody an idea of why, nothing has happened yet. It's been a little slow.
Yeah. The Florida I'm talking about, by the way, is the winter meetings, Matt.
That's still weeks away also. We got Thanksgiving this week. That's fully on my mind.
That's true. Yes. And as we approach Thanksgiving, with the Phillies having made just a couple of small moves, really since the last time we recorded, which was a Patreon exclusive mailbag episode, wink, wink, you know where to find that. The Phillies had the tender deadline coming past. They non-tendered pitchers Michael Mercado and Daniel Robert. Both, of course, have made cameos with the Phillies over the last couple of seasons. They got a couple of arbitration avoidances, I guess would be the term for that. Something like that. With a couple of their catchers, Garrett Stubbs has a really nice minor league salary on a split deal. Good for him. And Rafael Marchand had an agreement as well. And in smaller news, for depth moves, the Phillies claimed a former Astros prospect from the Orioles, outfielder Pedro Leon, who was once upon a time an intriguing kind of toolsy, maybe not in body type because few people do that, but it reminds me of Carlos De La Cruz, late of the Phillies system. He'll go to AAA. Matt,
Whenever they make waiver claims in the offseason, I'm always my first thought is, in my mind, I'm assessing what are the percent odds that this guy makes it to opening day in the organization.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of times teams will be using these spots. This is more of a modern roster thing, and the Phillies have done this at times, but not as much as other clubs. But a lot of times, clubs will use some of the spots in the 40 is essentially a churn. If they see somebody that's interesting, they claim him, and if they see somebody else who's more interesting down the line in a few weeks, that guy might be gone. I wonder what his percent. I mean, he's a right-handed hitting outfielder, which they don't have a lot of in the organization, not just in the majors, but also AAA. I mean, they could, use some AAA outfielders. So
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say the odds of seeing him eventually at some point during the summer.
Oh no, I'm just talking about does he stay in the organization? Does he still in the organization on opening day? And I'm going to say he's got a 55% shot.
Okay, yeah, I guess that sounds about right. I do wonder sometimes about these guys who get caught up in the churn, like the actual human side of guys who get DFA'd or claimed off waivers a bunch of times in the winter. Yeah, it's terrible. And
it's easier in the wintertime, I think.
Well, yeah.
It's I don't know that it's easy anytime, but it's easier in the wintertime when you're not having to go you're not, when a guy gets DFA during the season, he's literally in limbo. He's not allowed to go to, the club's facilities at all. And he's kind of waiting around. There's a 7-day period now where, he might stay with that organization. He might be in another organization. He might be in the majors. He might be in the minors. That during the season, it's tough. I think in the off season, I guess it's a little easier to stomach. But still, I would imagine very difficult.
I would have to think when you're in this position, and I don't know if Pedro Leon and the likes are the same way, but when we're in the off season and you're in this spot, I almost wonder if you're just okay, talk to me in February before I need to make travel plans, because you might change organizations.
Oh, for sure,
2 or 3 more times. You're not really doing anything. You're just kind of shrugging, oh, okay, all right, I'll plan to be with the Phillies right now, but then I'll just keep waiting it out for 2 more months. It's a tough spot to be in. Anyway.
As far as the tender decisions go, I was moderately surprised that they tendered Stubbs, but also the structure of the contract is such that it does not preclude them from taking him off the 40-man at some point, either this winter or in the spring, and keeping him in the organization. That's why they structured it the way they did, because it is such a large minor league salary. I think, what did I report?
535?
575.
575.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. It's bad podcasting. But 575. And it's hard to imagine a team, claiming him. Excuse me. If he goes unclaimed, it's hard to imagine him rejecting the assignment to AAA because he would forfeit the high minor league salary, and he's not guaranteed to get anything near that.
Right.
I think the only reason he would refuse the assignment is if he knows that he's got a major league job as a backup for some other organization. And if he does have that, then great. But I think this was a contract done to keep some catching depth in the organization, especially since right now, they don't have any catchers. So
technically an empty position
that, can and will change. But I guess a bit of creative roster making, we'll see where Stubbs is come spring training. Is he still in the 40? Is he not? But they've essentially made it, they've
made it easier to keep him.
Yes, and they've incentivized him to, go to the minor leagues if that is how it shakes out.
Yeah.
And as far as the relievers, like I was, like the teams use this non-tender deadline now in different ways than they used to, because like
Mm.
Mercado and Robert were not arbitration eligible players, so they didn't have to make a decision on those guys last week, but they did. They used it to take those guys off.
Mhm.
Um, they can still return to the organization, and I don't know if that's the plan or not. Mercado had a disappointing year. I think Robert is kind of interesting, but
He is kind of interesting. Yeah.
did he have any options left? That's, I think, what was surprising to me is like, didn't he have an option left? I
I, rem-
wonder,
I remember
if they
this.
work out something with him.
Yeah.
Um,
A few years ago, do you remember Scott Matheson? I remember this.
a few years ago, that's more than a
Yeah.
few years ago.
I know. I remember he was put on waiver, a special kind of waiver. I remember learning about it for the first time when he was put on. He had options, and this was in the midst of, well, this guy's pitching well. Why not give him a shot? Why not see what's going on here? And he was like DFA'd or removed from the 40-man on a special waiver in season. And I'm like, why would you do that when he still has options left? And I think, as it turned out, it was to free him up to eventually go overseas, or at least that was
Sure.
part of it, and became a star over there. Good for him.
Daniel Robert does have an option left, so I wonder if they work out something in him where they sign him to a minor league contract and invite him to camp and bring him back to the organization. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, for as far as these depth guys go, and as far as Paul guys, these fringe players that I attach myself to, I could see myself attaching myself to Daniel Robert. I mean, he was.
I mean,
interesting.
they traded. They it's not like they got him for nothing. I mean, they traded like a moderately interesting starting pitching prospect for him, Enrique Segura, who
Mm.
was an A-ball and might not be anything, but it wasn't just like a waiver claim or a minor leagues contract. I mean, they actually traded something for him. So that, I guess that's what surprised me a little bit. Robert also ended the year injured, so I wonder if there's something to that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, nobody cares about that.
I mean, yeah, those are relievers. Those are the fringe moves. Everybody's caught up from the last time we chatted. I think now what we do want to do is we want to take a little time this episode to think about the rotation, the backbone of the 2025 team, and really a couple of years before that. They come into 2026 armed with Christopher Sanchez, Cy Young Award runner-up. Clearly, I think
still
now,
crazy to say that, right?
It's wild. Yeah, the unanimous Cy Young Award runner-up.
Unanimous Cy Young runner-up.
He is now the ace of the staff. They have him at the top of the pecking order. A healthy full season of Jesus Luzardo is in the books, and he looked tremendous. His season line was really just wrecked by those two starts in the middle of the year. He got a couple Cy Young Award votes. Aaron Nola obviously had a disappointing year, injured for most of it. Not very good when he was healthy. Ended the year strong, which was nice to see. We'll see what he has. Zach Wheeler, talking about him fourth, will be coming back at some point early-ish in the year. He is recovering, of course, from thoracic outlet syndrome surgery. We'll see what he has in the tank as he continues to recover from, what is a legitimate health scare, but thankfully it seems like he's just about in the clear from that as he rehabs. And then there's Taijuan Walker, who right now he's still with the team, still in the organization. He is the fifth starter, as the Phillies will come to camp expecting, though, Andrew Painter to eventually win that spot. So there's a little bit of a conversation to be had there for sure. Matt, those are 6 names for 5 spots. Once you get past the 6th name, though, there doesn't really seem to be a whole lot going on there. Ranger Suarez is a free agent. He's expected to get a healthy deal, probably has a good shot at 9 figures.
Yes.
It seems unlikely.
Not a good shot. He will get 9 figures.
There you go. It seems unlikely the Phillies will be the ones to give that to him. So you have 6 guys. You have 6 probable major league caliber starting pitchers. You assume Andrew Painter will, continue to improve as he gets further and further away from Tommy John surgery. But as we know, and we saw with the Dodgers, even though it's not the best example because they still won it all, injuries happen, right? They're just the most prominent example. You need more than 5 or 6 guys to make starts during a year in Major League Baseball. You just need that. And you need to have quality to backfill, to have the cavalry come in when a guy goes down, especially given Zach Wheeler's uncertainty. Andrew Painter does still have some uncertainty, even though he is expected to make the major league team at some point early on in the year in 2026. You hope Taijuan Walker is more along the lines of what you saw last year than 2 years ago. But Matt, those are just the only 6 guys who right now look really solidly, major league ready. And even that's a little bit of a stretch with some of them. It seems like this is a position worth discussing because as we talk about outfielders and we talk about adding bullpen depth, is there a way to address what seems to be a depth shortfall here for the rotation as well?
Well, let's start with this, okay? Because what we know is that they have to replace 26 starts and 157 and a third innings from Suarez. Because we assume, and I don't know, Paul, you could maybe, if you want to make the argument or not, I mean, like, can you make an argument for the Phillies to try for Suarez, sign Suarez to a market contract, a 9-figure deal, let's say 5 times 22. What is that?
Okay. 110.
110. Could you make an argument right now for that? Knowing that they're going to have payroll, I say constraints, but knowing that they're going to have a similar payroll to what they had last year, fitting in Schwarber, Realmuto, Suarez, and that honestly would be it, I think. Could you make an argument to devote, what you have left, payroll resources, into Suarez?
Yes.
Like, do you think the Phillies should be more active? I'm not saying that they haven't ruled it out, but I think that they're fully moving on to different business.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think a pursuit of Ranger, if he's still available, in a month or so, it does make sense as a fallback for this team, if I can call it that, because I do think it
not
makes
fallback. I mean, just like plan B or plan
yeah,
C,
like an
plan
alternative,
D.
like
I mean,
another branch. Yeah. It does make more sense to focus more on the outfield, I think, right now, because the supply is limited. The impact bats and the impact guys are. It seems like kind of a narrow list. But we know what Ranger is capable of. He's beloved around here. I know just about everybody would welcome him back. I don't really think that's much of a question. It's just a matter of if you do bring him back, like you said, having Ranger, Kyle, and JT all return. Yeah, that's probably it. That's probably it. Yeah. And that leaves you a bit shorthanded in the outfield because Castellanos will be gone. The bullpen we're talking about rotation depth. The bullpen will have depth issues too. It leaves you a little bit short, but it does give you what you could bank on as 150 at least quality innings. And that's not a bad thing. It's really not. I think people look at 9-figure deals as if your contract starts with a 1 and there are 8 numbers after it, you need to be an ace. And I get that. But I also don't think that's necessarily a hard and fast truth about free agent signings with starting pitchers anymore. I think we're in an era where having fewer than 180, 190 innings as a starting pitcher is still worth a considerable amount of money if those innings are quality. It's evidenced by the fact that Ranger is projected to make 9 figures, even given his history and his, 170 innings as a career high, right? Yeah. No, not even 160. So it seems like it would be tough to make the math add up because you're talking about needing offensive help and instead spending a lot of money, outlaying all that money on Ranger again when he probably would not put up a 200 inning season. But the quality of those innings is also going to be hard to replace. We saw this with Aaron Nola getting his contract extension despite having a couple of years post 2018 of being not quite as elite, but because he could carry those innings, that was valuable. And it will be valuable assuming he returns to health. Matt, this is a different sort of spin on the situation where you don't expect the bulk, but you do expect the quality. Yeah. And that could really carry your rotation. That could really be a big help.
I think in any other offseason, I think I would be more willing to extend to 9 figures on Suarez. I just feel like what I've devoted to my rotation right now, resource-wise, I think I'm kind of tapped out there. And I think at this point, I need to I need to fill that rotation in other ways. And obviously Andrew Painter, stands as a major character in this conversation and also in the 2026 season as a whole. And I think because they have another lefty who's a little younger and has better stuff, also a spotty track record of injury history, but I'm going to rely on stuff. I want to take that money and come springtime, I'm talking to Jesus Luzardo about, some kind of extension.
Yup.
Whether it happens or not, like I think I want to have that conversation.
I'm right there with you.
I'd rather bet on the stuff, and that's, Rangers got a better track record, I think you could say, of results, right? I think that's fair to say.
Yes.
But I think I want to make my 9-figure bet, hypothetically, or my 5-year bet on Luzardo over Suarez.
Yeah. Yeah. A 2-year difference essentially between them, Jesus and Ranger.
Age-wise.
Age-wise is a big deal. It is so much easier and so much more comfortable for me to think about this given the season Luzardo just posted.
Right, and we didn't know. We didn't see any.
We had no idea. We had no idea.
Right, no. Like he's in the past versions of Luzardo, also good, but coming with a lot of questions and caveats, and we don't know. Like the only version of him we saw was quite good and quite healthy. So based on that information, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to sign this guy to whatever he wants. Totally fair, because he was really good. But I mean, obviously there are some other things to factor into it.
Yep. If it is one or the other, I agree with you, and I'm there with you. It would, from a fan perspective, possibly a clubhouse perspective, well, almost certainly from a clubhouse perspective, be a hit. To lose Ranger it's kind of a sad thing. I like him as much as I liked Rhys Hoskins, and seeing him leave to go to Milwaukee, while I understood it still kind of hurt. And I would understand if Ranger has to leave and he goes somewhere else and gets his bag. Like, hey, great, man. Go get that money. You did lots of really cool stuff for this team. And, the big story and the history of him signing for what, $10,000,
25, I think.
25, whatever it was.
Son of a farmer. That's my, it's an amazing story. He was stuck at the Venezuelan complex, which doesn't, the Phillies Venezuelan Academy, which doesn't even exist anymore. He was there for, I think, 3 summers. And that's typically a death sentence for an amateur player, for a young professional player. If you can't get out of the complex for 3 summers, you're probably going to get released. And he didn't.
That last, I'm looking at his page right now, and I remember this, and it'll always stick with me. It's 11 years ago now. But in that 2014, ultimately his final Venezuelan Summer League complex year, he pitched 80 innings, just over 80 innings, and walked 1 guy. And I always look at this, and it's unbelievable to me. Complex or not, I don't care. If you walk 1 guy and you face more than 300 batters, guys walk more than that accidentally, or have umpires who just give a weird phantom call sometimes. 1 walk in 80 innings is ludicrous, and that will always stick with me. As soon as I heard that, he became immediately interesting to me.
Do you want a hot take here?
Of course.
Look at, are you on Rangers baseball reference page now?
Yes, I am.
A guy like Ranger Suarez would not have made the majors if he was signed 2 years ago as an amateur. Because it took him a while, and there weren't roster limits, imposed by the league. Organizations can only carry a certain amount of farmhands, because Suarez, didn't get to the States until he was 19, and he only pitched 6 games that year, and he was in the Gulf Coast League, the rookie league, which is gone. I mean, there's complex leagues now, but that's gone. Then in 2016, he went to Williamsport the half season. So he started 2016 still at the complex, extended spring training. Then he went to the New York Penn League, which doesn't exist anymore in terms of professional baseball. And he made 13 starts there. I mean, he didn't have a full season affiliate until he was 21 years old. That was his, 6th year in the organization. He would have been released He wouldn't have made it there because they wouldn't have been able to carry him, because he wouldn't have shown enough progress soon enough. And teams are having to make earlier decisions on guys because of these roster limits. I wonder if a guy like Ranger Suarez would have made the majors had he been signed in this era of roster limits.
God, that's not a hot take. That is a great point. You know, the reduction of the minor league system and the hard cap on organizational roster spots being shrunk to what it is just it's not good. and we feel that this is one example of feeling the pinch, right? Like, obviously Ranger is a major league player already. But that is a really good point. There are going to be people who get lost to this system, who may have had that potential of developing into something, who needed more time. It's going to happen. I can't tell you who it's going to be, but there are going to be people who would have followed this path. I am 99% certain of this, hypothetical, who just won't get that shot. And I think that's what makes him that much more impressive to me, honestly. I don't want to treat him like a relic as his career continues, but he will be kind of emblematic of that bygone era now, that under the current structure of things, and probably as far as this aspect of it is concerned, will continue to be this way under the next collective bargaining agreement, just would not have made it, would not have done what he has done, would not have been able to post a 1.48 postseason ERA for the Phillies.
Yeah.
That's a little sad and sobering, but it does help to firm up the appreciation for him in my mind, honestly.
All right, so
that's
off that aside over,
yeah.
To me, the Ranger conversation is why this conversation we're having about the rotation is not just about 2026. Like, you have to be, and I know that for a fact they are thinking about the rotation in this way, is that you need to think about it in terms of the 2027 rotation and the 2028 rotation, because you're sort of at something of an inflection point here with how you're going to construct your rotation moving forward. And obviously there's the Wheeler window, right? Which, we're a little less sure of Wheeler going into the season, but he's got, 2 more years as one of the most expensive starting pitchers in the entire sport, 26 and 27. And then after that, there's going to be a post, Wheeler rotation reality. And you're trying to figure, okay, who's going to lead that? And obviously Chris Sanchez has burst his way into, this picture, and it's not hard to squint and see him being, a top or near the top of the rotation for the foreseeable future at a very discounted rate.
He's only going to make $3.5 million this year. 3.5.
Yeah. And that's when, the Luzardo and Painter discussions, factor into what you think about Suarez, what you think about your rotation in 26, in 27, in 28. All of that, I think, matters this offseason because you're trying to gain this out. And obviously, you can't predict baseball. So you're trying to do the best you can to project what this looks like. But I think that's why you're not investing 9 figures in Suarez this offseason, is because you're thinking about Luzardo in the future. You're thinking about how are we going to allocate these payroll resources. Maybe when Wheeler's contract is up, we're in the market for whomever is, the big starting pitcher out there that offseason, and who knows who that is. Maybe the new collective bargaining agreement, there's free agency after 4 years or so. Everything could change. Who the hell knows? But I think that's why you're willing to let Suarez walk. But there are ramifications in the short term of that. I mean, because as you laid out, Paul, let's assume Wheeler is not ready for opening day, and I don't think he will be, but if I'm a betting man, I would anticipate a quicker return than a later one for him in 2026.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too.
Progress has been good. I think he's going to push it. But let's say he's not out there for opening day, and I don't think that's a stretch. You're looking at a rotation of Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola, Walker, and Painter. Like, Painter basically has to be on the rotation as it stands right now. You don't have another guy. So I think this is where the relevant conversation for 2026 has to start is, do we need someone else, and who is it, and what does it look like? And asking these questions to Dave Dombrowski a couple weeks ago in Las Vegas, he made it pretty clear that like they're not really in the rotation market right now, at least at the very top. And understood, get it,
Okay.
I get that.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're not really in the rotation market at all, period, right now, even with a back of the rotation guy. Now, Dombrowski said that could change, and I do think it merits some debate. And I'm not sure if they're having this debate internally because yes, they have other priorities right now, but this is where it gets complicated. It's like, okay, do you try for, you trying for a 1-year veteran again, a la Joe Ross, but try to do Joe Ross better, like find a better version of Joe Ross, like somebody who is willing to be a swing guy, could start the year in your rotation, then move to the bullpen. But then you're like, well, isn't that Taijuan Walker? Like, isn't he your swing guy? Because what we saw last year was there was a time, Paul, where like they had too many long relievers almost, right? Too many lower leverage guys where you're like, well, what's the middle relief look like? And they were trying out different things in middle relief. They had to try Taijuan Walker in middle relief because they really didn't have great options in the middle. So you're saying, okay, well, we're going to start the year with Walker in rotation, but we also need to go sign a cheaper Taijuan Walker, another Taijuan Walker, somebody who's a veteran on a 1-year deal who would be a swing guy. That feels like too much. So I'm not sure how you play this.
I don't either. And I'm looking at the current list of free agent starting pitchers.
There's a lot of guys in this mold.
There are
this offseason.
Yeah. And it makes me think that something like that could come together. There are a lot of guys in, the high level prototype, I guess, would be somebody in their mid to late 30s coming off of a modest year. I'm not really, I don't know how much I'm thinking about swing capability. I'm thinking more about bridge for Painter to cover the early innings. And then if they're not great innings, then okay, at least they covered it before, Painter was ready. And then thank you for your service. You were free to find work with another team.
Sure.
Again, I don't know for sure what that looks like because we're not in there. We don't know who's talking about what. But you see a number of guys with, that age that at least makes sense. Think about former Phillies great Tyler Anderson. You think along the lines of
filler an hour.
Like Andrew Heaney, Nick Martinez, things along those lines where somebody who can, just you don't really expect too much.
Adrian Hauser,
Adrian Hauser. Yeah. I mean those
there's a lot of guys there though.
Yeah. So I feel like something could come together there, and I think it would make sense. It's a tough needle to thread when you're looking for somebody who you feel really confident is major league caliber, but you don't want to guarantee too much work to. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't guarantee. I mean, this is they've talked about this. They feel like they've faced issues in the past accumulating starting pitching depth because they're not able to guarantee anyone a rotation spot. And they're like, well, I can go get a rotation spot with team X. Why would I sign with you?
Right.
I mean, the Phillies would be like, well, you're going to get starts for us. Like we can't guarantee anything, but like we can show you our rotation picture and tell you that like, somebody's going to get hurt. Something's going to happen. You're going to get starts, but that's a tougher sell than, hey, you're our fifth starter and you're going to get, we want you to make 30 starts for us this year.
Yeah, it doesn't. They don't carry as much clout as the Dodgers, who I feel like could pull that off with anybody. They're that's the destination right now. And if the Dodgers are like, "Hey, you want to make a few starts for us, the back-to-back champions," they'd probably be like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Where do I sign?"
Well, and you get that Dodgers shine even if you get DFA'd after a few of those starts because another team is like, "Oh, well, the Dodgers liked him. We got to pick him up."
Yeah, yep. There's definitely some of that too. So I think while it's still early in the off season, to be thinking about what this looks like in terms of the supplemental moves, that there are names out here that I think could make sense. And Matt, it would not at all surprise me if one, maybe even two, depending on how the market shakes out, if two of these guys end up, coming to camp with the team to try and fill the spot.
Two.
So here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at with this. I don't feel very comfortable guaranteeing Andrew Painter a job right out of camp right now. I don't. He'll have a chance in February and March to prove himself and earn that spot. And he is entitled to that, right? And I will give him, from my perspective, that full runway. I would love for him to win that job. I don't feel confident in it right now. I like that he ended the year healthy. He seemed like he was still finding himself post Tommy John recovery. And
I mean, the one thing going
not
for
ideal.
him is that he made 26 starts last year and he got to 118 innings, and you start gaming that out, and maybe he doesn't have a full major league workload for 2026, but he's going to be pretty damn close to it, right? I mean, like
Yes.
it's not hard to see him throwing 150 innings next season,
It is
whether
not.
it's in the majors and the minors, whatever, but 150 total.
But you add
I think
into
that's
that the uncertainty about Zach Wheeler's start to the year.
Mhm.
And I mean, I assume
And the
Taiwan
lack of
Walker's
depth
in there,
and the
but
lack of depth. Like that's you're
yeah.
all these factors, because behind them you're looking at Gene Cabrera and Alan Rangel, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah. So that's why I'm thinking I will say 2 major league caliber additions in camp. Yes. There's going to be more guys who are on a lower rung than that, just because you also need to fill innings for Lehigh Valley and have potential options there too. That comes later. It would not at all surprise me if that actually maybe even gets more attention than the outfield depth does for this team, because maybe it is something that is a little more pressing because of that cliff that happens after name number 6 with this org the way it currently is.
I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm going to guarantee you this. They're going to sign a guy to a major league contract who has not pitched in the majors before, or who has barely pitched in the majors, and they're going to sign him as a starting pitcher. I don't know who it is, but you've seen teams do
I
this in
know
recent
what you mean.
years.
Yeah.
They'll sign a guy who has options, who has minor league options, but they will sign him, and he's not a guy you're like, oh, that guy got a major league contract, but he will get a major league contract because he has options and he can go start at AAA as depth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know who it'll be, and it's, again, to be a guy who will be like, whoa, that guy got a major league deal? Like, what's up with that? But teams have really been using that strategy. The options are worth their weight in gold at this point. So, like, it's one thing to try to go sign a veteran to a minor league contract and say, hey, we really like you. We'll give you a decent minor league salary. You'll be at AAA for us. But, if there's an injury or something, we think you're like our number 6 or number 7 starter, and we'll be bringing you up. Whereas if you're signing a guy with options, you're giving him a major league contract. Maybe he didn't expect that. And you're like, look, like, you're going to factor in for us. But because we like you so much, we're going to throw you this major league deal and put you on our 40-man roster. Different kind of situation. But you got to go find those guys. And also you got to convince them, that Philly's the right spot, because that's part of free agencies. You've got to convince, some of the fringe guys that this is the right fit, that you will get a chance in the majors with this club.
You know who that might be to me? And I know there's a health consideration here. I'm not sure where he's at this point, but one of the guys who jumped off the page as you described that was John Means, formerly of the Orioles, who did not pitch in the major leagues last year, only made a handful of starts.
Does he have options left?
Yeah. Well,
no.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, so much.
But I know what you're saying. Sure. I mean, if you
that
get
kind
him,
of guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how that would work, because you'd have to either be ready at the start of the season or agree to some sort of assignment. I'm not sure how that would work.
There's a lot of moving parts.
I see what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. I was thinking more of a guy who just got, I don't know, but in the mold of this, like, he was just non-tendered, and he was like a waiver claim a million times. He's a former Phillies draft pick. Carson Ragsdale, like he was a guy who, like,
the Sam Coonrod trade. Yeah,
that's right. He was DFA'd a bunch of times last year, and the Braves and the Orioles kept trading waiver claims with him. But he's the kind of guy, like, he has options. He's a little younger, and he's started in the minors, right? He hasn't barely pitched in the majors, but something in that mold where it's like somebody who maybe isn't expected to get a major league contract, but gets one because he has options and because he can be depth.
Yeah, I like it. I can absolutely.
Whatever. Someone like that. The Mets did it a lot last year. They had a couple guys who they signed to major league deals where you're like, that, and then that guy got a major league deal.
Yeah.
Do you think they should do more than that? Do you think they should be signing? Should they start the year with Walker as the long man and signing a more legitimate back of the rotation kind of guy. Maybe you have to go to 2 years, or maybe it's just you give a little more money 1 year to a Adrian Hauser, who is coming off of a decent year, or like a uh, Zach Littell, or
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm struggling with some of these names,
Sure.
but I mean, like
Sure.
maybe one of the guys coming back from Japan, Anthony Kay, Foster Griffin. Do you give those guys one or two, a 1 year deal with a higher salary, or a 2 year deal, to be a back of the rotation pitcher, and maybe somebody who, moonlights in the bullpen? Or are you more shopping in the swing man, optionable depth kind
Uh,
of rotation pool? Are you
that
that confident in Walker? Because like Walker, part of this, we haven't said a word about Aaron Nola. I mean, like, how confident are you in that it'll at least be not just better results wise, but better health wise, that he'll
Yeah.
make, you know, 27 starts next year? And that's even on the light side for Nola usually, but let's, is all this has to factor into how you play the back of the rotation.
Yes. And the more we talk about it, I think this was always the case, even coming into us discussing it. But boy, you can easily see a scenario where just a couple of dominoes fall the wrong way, and all of a sudden, the Phillies are scrambling. They have to find ways
Right.
to patch holes,
Yeah.
and that is not where you want to be as a contending major league team. I mean, well, look what happened with the Mets, right? Like late in the
Yeah.
year, scrambling to fill those innings, and they missed the playoffs. So there's no guarantee that's always how it's going to happen, but you do need to cover those innings, and they need to be ideally of at least a passable major league quality when you're talking about the 5th and 6th and 7th starting pitchers. And the Phillies have enough questions to make me understand if they put more of an emphasis on the rotation than I think I expected them to coming into this offseason. Maybe that comes at the expense of something else. It would probably come at the expense of adding to the outfield
Bullpen or outfield.
or
Bullpen.
bullpen. Well, yeah, take your pick. I mean, either of those are kind of thin right now. They at least have a couple better in-house options for
You know
the
who's a
outfield.
free
But
agent?
who's that?
Ben Lively.
Yeah, Zach Eflin too.
Hashtag bring him home. Yeah. Oh yeah. Zach
Yeah,
Eflin. End of the year with a pretty significant back surgery.
yeah.
I don't
Talk
know
about health,
what
and
kind of deal is he
I
going to
don't,
get? He's
I
only
don't
God.
know.
How old do you think Zach Eflin is? Do you
Oh,
have this
he's
in front of you? I
not.
hope you don't have it.
No, he's got to only be like 32, 33.
He doesn't turn 32 until April.
32 in April. Okay, yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It is wild. Yeah, it feels like he's been around
I mean,
forever.
he's been around for a while. He's got 9+ years of service time in the majors.
Yeah, that's right. He debuted when he was like 22, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So look, all this discussion has served to do is kind of, I think, make
I
me
think.
reconsider things a bit.
Can you tell? Right? Can you tell where I'm leaning? Like, have
Yeah.
I showed my cards? Like, I think they need. I don't think it needs to be a big investment, but I think they need to make an investment in the back of this rotation,
Yeah.
because I am concerned about. I would be concerned about entering the season being one injury away from needing Gene Cabrera or Alan Ronhell, because to start the season right now, on paper, your rotation has to have both Walker and Painter in it in April,
Yeah.
assuming that Wheeler is not ready, which I don't think
Yeah.
he will be to start the season.
I would not expect him to be. No.
So if you get one injury in spring training or any off, whatever, now all of a sudden you maybe in spring training you're already scrambling because you need to go into your 7th or 8th starter to begin the season. Now what?
That's a tough spot.
And that's not on, we've seen spring injuries all the time for starting pitchers. Like, the Phillies again have really had, wonderful, I don't know if it's luck, but I mean, wonderful injury luck to their starting pitchers. I mean, they really have avoided major injuries. And I know Noah lost half the season, and now obviously Wheeler's, TOS, like, is a major part of the 2026 season. But
Yeah.
outside of that, I mean, they've avoided major arm injuries, I guess is a better way to say it. But, I would be looking for creative ways to invest in the back of my rotation, because I'm not crazy about Taijuan Walker in 2026. I think there were times in 2025 where, he was doing helpful things for them, being a competent number 5 starter. I don't know how much I can bank on that in 2026.
It's one of the many things apparently about this rotation that we cannot take for granted. This has been. I
I mean, like,
expected.
yeah, you go into next year, like, what are your guarantees here? And then, again, there's no guarantees in the sport, but like,
Sure.
what are the things that, like, rank the things you feel the best about? It's like Christopher Sanchez making 30 starts and
Yep.
being, an elite starting pitcher. What's number 2? After that, what is the
man.
thing that you feel like you can bank on the most in this rotation in
Oh,
2026?
Oh, I was hoping to get a little further down the list than 2 before this happened, but I think you're
But am I
right.
wrong? Like,
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, I guess I feel
Luzardo?
good
Like, you're
about
like,
Luzardo, right?
yeah,
but
yeah, like
that's not
Luzardo
a
making
certainty,
30
right?
starts of a, and being a above average starter.
Okay. Oh boy.
After that, okay, let's go. Number
That's a
3. What after
little
that?
that's a little icky.
I don't think you can put Zach Wheeler that high because you just don't know. I mean, you'd
No.
like to hope. Okay, so is it Nola? Like, you're confident that Nola will be a league average pitcher for the majority of 2026? Can you rank that third?
I
Are you that
actually
confident in that?
I would. It feels like Nola's thing was enough of a blip that I can be like, yeah, okay, he should come back and be, closer to league average for a fuller season.
And people might roll their eyes at that, but like, if they get league average from Nola for 190 innings next year,
That's good. That's really good.
enormous.
Yeah.
No, it's enormous. Like, enormous. I mean, they really just need that. That is, to me, like, that is a success.
Agreed.
And that's kind of what he was signed for. And I know league average, you're going to roll your eyes, but like, league average is decent. And if it's for 190, that's the thing. It's league average for 80 innings. You're like, yeah, okay. League average for 190 innings, that's tremendous. Like, that is real value.
Yeah. So after this discussion, how about you all there? What do you think? I have a way for you. I have a way for you to let us all know what you think, and that is by joining our little community, our Patreon community that is bustling over on Discord. We have really pretty vibrant discussions, if I could say so. Just about every day, something new comes up to go through, and it sounds like we're going to be talking about the rotation for a little bit now. If you'd like to join us, patreon.com/Phillies Therapy. It's only $5 a month. It is as cheap as I can possibly make it, especially for the offseason. We'd love to have you come in and chat with us. It's a great community. We're thankful for everybody who is in now, who has been in and will join us in the future. And that would be the place. Come chat with us. We're in there every day. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this. As we look to wrap up this surprisingly enlightening episode, which has, I think, made me even a little bit more skittish than I was anticipating being.
Sorry, I have that effect on people.
It's good though. Matt, as we approach Thanksgiving this week, I know you did this last week. I just want to say I am very thankful for you and for this thing we have built over the last couple of years. As we come toward the end of another year together doing this already, we started early 2022 already. God,
wow.
It's amazing, and I'm very grateful to be able to do this with you. So thank you for always hopping on and letting me and all of us out here know what you think. It is invaluable stuff, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you, and I also appreciate everyone who listens and caring about what I think and what you think, and enjoying the conversations that we have. And I think it's a lot of fun. I love talking baseball, and I especially love talking baseball with somebody who I think is generally smarter than me. So I appreciate that. And but everything I'm saying is contingent on this one answer that you're going to have to make, and that is, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Oh,
and I will judge you based on your answer.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's see where I rate on the meter here. It's mashed potatoes.
Okay, I mean, it's like a in the scouting parlance, it's probably like a 50, maybe a 55.
Are you a stuffing guy?
I like stuffing. I don't know if that's my top one though. I would say,
are you cranberry sauce?
No, my top one is probably mac and cheese.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
and not everybody has that at their Thanksgiving table.
That's
But I
true.
think
That's
I think that's like a mandatory Thanksgiving side. And I know it's a little heavy, but to me that it goes great with everything
Oh,
else.
if there's one day to be a little heavy, it's this
Exactly.
one. All right, good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with us on this episode. Happy Thanksgiving if you're celebrating with friends, loved ones, whoever you might be gathering with. Be safe if you're traveling. And thank you again for hanging with us. We will be back with you again soon after the holiday. Getting a little bit closer to the winter meetings, hopefully a little more activity.
Maybe someone other than Phil Maton will sign a multi-year deal with a new team.
Maybe. Who can say? We'll keep our eyes peeled. In the meantime, this has been Phillies Therapy, part of the Believe Podcast Network. For Matt, I am Paul. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you again soon.
If your small business is booming, you might say,
Cha-ching!
but you should say,
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
and we'll help your growing business. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Streaming is changing the way we watch live sports. And your internet connection can be the difference between catching the game-winning touchdown as it happens or hearing about it from your neighbor's cheers. That's why Comcast is building the network of the future. Using cutting-edge AI and edge computing technology, we're bringing fans closer to the action in stunning high definition with ultra-low latency. It's not just fast, it's game-changing. Learn more at ComcastCorporation.com/sports.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Lowe's early Black Friday deals are going fast. Don't miss up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. And with Christmas around the corner, you're gonna need more string lights, right? Save $4 on GE LED 100 count string lights, now just $5.98. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 12/3. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.